Councilman Wendell, just to let you know, the rezos are renumbered on this one.
Yeah.
Because we missed the number.
What's up, Mayor? Can you hear me?
Yeah,
You're on speaker. You're on mic, so the whole entire council chamber can hear you.
okay. Just that I can't hear too much about what anybody's saying, so.
Nobody's saying
Just let me
anything.
know.
Yeah, nobody's saying anything yet,
Okay.
because we still have 3 minutes. The mayor isn't even in the room, nor is, Art, nor the rest of them. They're just coming down the hall now. Give them 3 more minutes or it's not time. So your clarity is good. We hear you well. I can check in the back. I can't hear you. We don't even have the mics on yet.
Okay.
I'm still here.
Is there any changes in the agenda?
There's no changes, right? There's no changes.
Just the numbering.
Just the numbering.
Of the rezos.
Just the numbering of the resolutions,
Okay,
okay?
yeah. Oh, yeah, 201's missing.
Yeah, yes.
Yep,
So it's renumbered.
Okay, everybody ready?
You ready, Mayor?
Yep.
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting to order. Would everyone please stand for a short prayer and a salute to our flag? Almighty God, grant us the wisdom to make those decisions that are in the best interest of all our residents. May the Heavenly Father of us all bless those who have given the ultimate sacrifice and service to our nation, and may He watch over and protect our servicemen and women now guarding the gates of freedom. Salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance to the flag
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, born and unborn.
We can back her up a little.
Jessica, statement of publication.
Take notice that this regular meeting of the Mayor and Borough Council being held on this 27th day of June 2016 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan.
Here.
Grillo.
Here.
Kilpatrick. Here. Lembo.
Here.
Novak.
Here.
Rittenhouse.
Here.
Okay, approval of prior minutes, Council President.
Mayor, I move that the May 23rd, 2016 council meeting and agenda meeting minutes be approved, subject to correction.
Second.
Second. Old business.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry, a vote on, is motion made, was there a second?
Yes.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan.
Yes.
Grillo.
Yes.
Kilpatrick.
Yes.
Lembo.
Yes.
Novak.
Yes.
Rittenhouse.
Yes.
Okay, ordinance 336-16, Jessica.
Bond ordinance providing for the replacement of the existing radio communication system and the acquisition of new equipment and site upgrades therefore in, by, and for the Borough of Saraville, New Jersey, appropriating $2,300,000 therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $2,190,000 bonds or notes of the borough for financing part of such appropriation.
Okay, at this time, I'm going to open the public portion on this ordinance. Before I do have a letter from Motorola dated June 14th. Begins, Mr. Mayor, first and foremost, Motorola Solutions would like to thank you and your staff for the courtesies extended to us during the last few years. We have worked with several officials to propose upgrades to the borough's radio system. The network that we provided and installed over 20 years ago has served the public safety personnel and borough agencies well, and we were excited to assist the borough in upgrading that network to a newer digital technology. Throughout the unusual procurement process, Motorola Solutions has maintained its professionalism and submitted all of the requests for pricing, scope, and proposals. Each time we were judged to be the most compliant and most competitively priced option. We would have brought the council and residents of Saraville the best system option backed by a company with the most history and experience to install it efficiently and with the highest quality. We remain deeply concerned about the events that unfolded at many of the public meetings during this process, but most concerning to us was the commentary and the decision made at the last meeting on June 13th, 2016. Some of the council members made remarks about our proposal that were not factually correct, especially in terms of false statements about the technical capability of our competitors' systems compared to ours. Our specific concerns include, number one, the ability of the Motorola P25 system to roam. Number two, the ability of the Motorola radios to give 95% coverage on the county system. 3, the ability to provide no functionality loss in a failover situation. 4, the ability to be compliant with the county system down the road. 5, the ability to provide 24-hour monitoring. 6, Motorola Solutions' proposal repeatedly ranked as the superior technical offering, as well as being the low-cost option in 4 occasions during the borough's process. In addition, the city's own consultant chose us, as did leaders of the public safety community. Despite that, our competitor was apparently allowed to materially alter the terms of its final proposal after we submitted our final offer with no recourse for us. We are deeply concerned by this series of events leading up to the council's decision. And I would like to address each of these concerns, as we were not able to do so in this process or at the meeting on the 13th. 1, the Motorola Solutions Systems provides the borough the same ability to roam onto other Project 5 digital trunk systems, including many New Jersey local and regional systems provided by Motorola Solutions, and more specifically, the statewide State of New Jersey Interoperable Systems, in parentheses, NJICS. The 95% guaranteed coverage area provided by the Middlesex County system would be equal and not different, regardless of which manufacturer's radio was selected, because the coverage is being provided by the system, not the radios using it. Actually, the Motorola Solutions radio would more than likely provide better performance on the county system, because our subscriber radio units have superior transmit and receive specifications that ultimately enhance the radio's coverage and audio performance. The Motorola Solutions system provides multiple layers of redundancy, and there is no loss of features if there was to be a malfunction of our main controller. 4, the Middlesex County radio system is built upon the Project 25, in parentheses, P25 standards that all compliant manufacturers build radios to meet. There would never be a situation where Motorola Solutions would be out of compliance with the P25 standard, and therefore we would always be able to communicate on the county's P25 radio system. Number 5, the Motorola Solutions system provides for 24-hour monitoring and service alert functionality. Number 6, there is a 9/11 system proposed in the offering. This requirement document prepared by VCOM required the vendors to quote NG 911 space NENA space I3 compliant 911 systems. Motorola's ECW NG 911 solution is the NENA or the NENA I3 compliant now, with no upgrades needed in the future, whereas the 911 system proposed by the competitor is non-compliant. This could introduce significant upgrade dollars to the project and will incur expensive offline upgrades down the road, if this upgrade will even be offered by the competitor. This dollar amount needs to be accounted for and included into the final decision-making process. The state of New Jersey is currently drafting an RFP for a statewide ESI net that would require NG 911 compliancy. The inclusion of this upgrade would more than likely put the other vendor higher than the proposed Motorola Solutions bid, and would also introduce a very serious weak link in their offering. There is a technical difference in these two offerings. This was a proposal based on the New Jersey state contract and was not a bid. This series of misstatements and incorrect assertions about our system was the basis for several council members' reasonings behind their votes. I would request that this information be shared with all parties involved and that a new vote be taken. One of the councilwomen mentioned that she had no choice but to vote for our competitor because she couldn't get these answers. This was clearly a misunderstanding of the facts at this meeting and during this process, and we are pleased to have an opportunity to set the record straight. I would also like to remind you that the borough paid for a third-party consultant to insist in the gathering of information for proposal request, and to make a final recommendation to the council. This recommendation was presented on multiple occasions and favored the Motorola Solutions offer every time. The council also asked the executives of their public safety agencies to spend considerable time and resources to make their own recommendations on this issue. They also made it unambiguously clear that they strongly favored Motorola Solutions equipment over that offered by our competitor. We are at a loss to understand how the borough has chosen to ignore these recommendations, especially from the men and women who will be placing their lives on the line when using this equipment. Mayor, during the meeting, you mentioned that this process was incredibly insulting, showed poor management, and that you found it to be an example of particularly poor government. We agree with your conclusion that the borough is being shortchanged. At the end of the day, the borough allowed our competitor to repeatedly alter and resubmit its proposal and manipulate the process for its financial gain, and at the full risk of your public safety personnel and borough citizens. Motorola Solutions is the industry leader and has installed and currently maintains more trunk radio systems than all of our competitors combined. We followed your process to the letter. We offered the most compliant system at the best value, and we stand ready to install that system for the borough of Saraville when the council reviews this information here and acts accordingly with all its questions have been fully answered with accurate information. Sincerely, David White, Regional Vice President.
Mayor, may I, at the last meeting when I suggested that we hold off this ordinance until we made decisions on what system we were going to get, you told me one thing had nothing to do with the other. So I'd like you to open, this is strictly funding any system. So we should, comply, get rid of this first and then discuss your letter.
What'd she say?
That the bond ordinance is a separate issue than awarding the contract.
I can't hear anything.
So what does she want to do? It is open. I did open it. Are there any questions or comments?
Mayor, what are you trying to ask for? Because are you trying to say the?
Okay. Well, according to the mayor at the last meeting, when I requested that we put this bonding ordinance off until we made decisions, he said one thing had nothing to do with the other. This is strictly funding any system. So I request that, that we take care of this ordinance first, the funding of any system, and then we can discuss that at the proper time.
Okay, all right. I've opened the public portion. Doug, if you would, please.
I understand what Mary's saying, though. Should we vote on the bond ordinance first?
Well,
Because the bond
I
ordinance.
have the public portion open.
This is a public portion, the public has a right to comment on it.
Doug, if you'd
Yes, but this has nothing
identify
to do with
yourself.
who we hire, just funding the system, any system.
Okay.
The
Doug,
question should be redirecting on, do we want to fund this radio system in any shape or form?
Doug,
Because that's what the bond is about.
I can't help this. Doug, go ahead.
Doug Gumprick, Saraville PBA, Local 98, 1000 Main Street. Mayor,
Is that on? Is that mic
Maybe.
on, fellas in the back?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mayor, it was addressed in a letter from the Motorola Solutions. Going forward, I think he addressed a lot of these concerns that Councilwoman Kilpatrick rose from the last meeting here. And going against the consultant that the borough has spent money on, because that is our professional, our expert, right? Our expert said this is where we should be going with what particular system. Motorola Solutions has been compliant in every bid process. It's distasteful that we allowed it to go 1, 2, 3, 4 times on a bid that was accepted for Motorola, and it actually didn't go to the state for approval at one point, and then we reneged on that
It's a
particular.
state, it's an established state contract.
Right, and it went up there to be
How is it?
approved to come back down to Saraville to move forward. Is
Right.
that correct? Okay.
Mayor,
Can
if I
I
may?
ask a question? Are you in favor of us funding any system? Because that's what this ordinance is about. Any system. If
Okay.
this doesn't get approved tonight, then we don't have the money in place to do anything.
Doug, the awarding of the actual contract is in the consent agenda. This is just to fund a radio
Oh,
system.
I understand it, I
I
understand it,
can't
but
even hear what's being said.
like, then if that's what we would do, then we'll, Mayor, it's up to you and how you want to run your meeting, but if you're going to approve a,
I'd like to get as much input. This gets, what should have been relatively routine with the consultant and with all the borough personnel and first responders involved in this. Politics reared its ugly head, and now it's complex, and it's not in the best interest of Saraville. So now I want to hear from the public.
Mayor, like I was saying before, even, no matter what way you're going to award the contract, I'm sure the money is appropriated, we're going to be awarding the contract. But again, it's very distasteful in the way that the council, in general, I mean a broad term, went about awarding this bid, all right? This bid should have been awarded appropriately the first time around. It was compliant like was reported. For some reason, we allow the competitor or the other contractor involved to keep coming back with different dollar amounts, okay? I'm not saying there's misappropriations, but if I tell you $1, and then all of a sudden, somebody comes back at 50 cents, well, how are we getting that information?
Right.
Where does it go? Where does it come from? Where does it come from? I mean, you gave them 4 opportunities to match or beat, and each time they come to the table, Motorola Solutions, I believe up until that last point, has always beat the number that came out. Is that not true?
That is my understanding, Doug.
All right. I just hope that, in general sense, that when we go in November to revote, we understand that we paid good money for a consultant, the expert, to give you his recommendation. We totally disregarded that recommendation. For what reason? Because he is the expert. He is the expert.
Correct.
And we'll wait for the next part to open up before we come back up. Thank you.
Finning?
Vincent Moranowitz, Fire Chief, Saraville Fire Department. I understand what Mary said about this just being the bond part, but as far as who we're going to select, I really think that needs to be tabled. Motorola should get their chance to come in here and say what they need to say, instead of backdoor meetings like I was just in to get an answer. It is very, I don't even know how to describe it. It's actually a shame on what's going on, and it's disheartening. And I really have no faith in some of the people up front. They're the people that are supposed to lead this town, and instead they're steering us in the wrong direction. You have a police chief, you have an expert that was paid to be there, you have a police captain that was there, myself, and yet that's ignored. Public safety is ignored for whatever is going on behind the scenes, and it's not right. So I'm going to ask that this be tabled, and I'm sure that most of the people here are going to say the same thing. Thank you.
Thank you, Vinnie. Are there any other questions or comments? Any other questions or comments? Okay. Before we move on, Pat, did you have a comment?
Yes, as far as the awarding of the contract, I absolutely would like to see that tabled until we can have another special meeting with all the parties involved. There's just too many discrepancies here, too many things we're not sure of, from what the system can and can't do, from price. It was stated at the last meeting that one was less expensive than the other. I mean, there's too many things, there's just too many inaccuracies here.
Are you
I say,
asking
let's
the-
get it right, let's do it one more time, have a special meeting, get all the parties, VCOM, Motorola, Harris, get everybody here, police, fire.
Are you asking to table the funding of the radios?
Yeah,
This
I mean,
ordinance?
Yeah.
That's what we're discussing right now.
We're
talking about the
discussing the
ordinance. We're not
bond
talking
No,
ordinance.
about
I'm saying,
resolutions.
I'm saying the
This
consent
has got nothing to do with
This is-
awarding the contract.
Not saying the
We
bond.
did that at the last meeting.
We're talking about the bond now.
The
and-
funding ordinance to fund it.
The
I understand
funding
what
is
you're
another
saying,
story.
But that's what we're talking about right now.
No,
We gotta go to
yeah,
consent
but the
agenda
funding,
first.
if the funding goes through and then you vote for Harris, then they're gonna have the money. I'll make a motion to
thought we
table the
already-
ordinance. I'm speaking.
Go ahead.
Okay, take a
I-
vote on the table.
Well, no.
Mary, you're not running the meeting either, and neither is Vicky. I make a motion that we table the ordinance number 33616 until we resolve all of the other issues. That way, we're not going to award any contracts tonight when we get to that.
Second.
Discussion,
call.
discussion,
Sure.
discussion.
Yeah, I have a major concern about tabling the funding of this project. We cannot hold it back any longer. The wording of the contract, there's some questions that are brought up and that should get answered, but we need to move forward with the funding. I don't see why we would hold up the funding any longer.
I agree with you. I don't know why we'd hold up the funding any longer, but I have a couple of statements. First of all, I received this letter from Motorola on Friday. It was sent out urgent, FedEx, yet it was dated June 14th. I don't understand that, Mayor.
I didn't write
This
the
was
letter.
something, well, you read the letter, and you read that it was
Well,
dated
reading it
June
and
14th.
writing it, I usually
No,
do
no, no,
different
you read, I didn't accuse you, I didn't say you wrote the letter, I said you read the letter. It was so urgent for Motorola Solutions to rectify these, in their opinions, misstatements. They wrote it on June 14th, and they hung on to it until the Friday, just this past Friday. That, you're right. When it comes to the process and the way that this entire thing went down is extremely concerning. Extremely concerning. Extremely concerning from this standpoint as well. One of the things that I was happy to see, and it was poor government, I'll use your words, Mayor. It was poor government when the mayor refused to allow me to ask any of the vendors here at the last council meeting one question for clarification. So I agree with you, that was poor government. And that should have been answered, and Motorola had the ability to speak at the last council meeting, at the public portion. They chose not to. They could have rectified all these quote-unquote misunderstandings at that meeting. I don't know why they didn't. That, to me, is concerning. What I appreciate, though, in this letter that the mayor read, Motorola came point blank out and said that under the P25 radio system, any radio from any vendor would work because it's the actual P25 system that is actually running the show here, not the actual radio itself. That's what it says here, that it's built on Project 25, P25, and it says all standards, all compliant manufacturer-built radios have to meet that. They have to meet that. Now, we already voted on Harris at the last council meeting, correct, Mr. DuPont?
That's correct. That was your resolution, that you would go standalone and that you would go with Harris.
Now, what's concerning to me, and it took you guys a while, Mr. Lembo, to finally realize you needed to start questioning these radios and get a better understanding on it. But I'm going to ask the fire chief, because I don't see the police chief here. Or I'll ask every one of the officers standing back there and the firemen here. We were told as a council that this was an emergent situation because our radios were failing. Vinny, our radios are failing.
No, they fail.
If you're requesting that we table this, do you feel that your men, our firefighters and our police officers are safe right now?
Our radios have been failing for years. This isn't
I
something
know
that
that's
happened
deplorable. I
Right,
haven't been here
years.
very long.
So I don't know why now, all of a sudden that there's a rush. I want it done
A
right.
rush?
Yeah, all of a sudden there's a rush by you guys to push through this Harris system.
No.
Oh, yes, there is.
Vinny?
You had myself, the police chief, and also VCOM sit here and tell you we prefer the Motorola standalone system, and you don't.
Can I
It just
call
doesn't
a
matter.
point
Well,
of
let me-
order? There's really no discussion on the tabling of an ordinance.
No.
I don't know what we're doing.
Mary, it's Vicky. Vicky
It's-
is making a comment.
I mean,
I know, but there's.
Vicky
once
is
the motion
making
was
a
made to
comment,
table and
Mary.
seconded, there's no
Mary.
discussion. That's Robert's
There
rules, Mayor.
is comment,
Take a vote on
and
the
Vicky is
tabling.
making a comment.
listen, Vinny, you're up here
Only she is, it doesn't matter on the meeting.
saying that you want to table this. I was in a room, a closed session. They gave us less than 7 minutes when this was originally brought up. less than 7, because the meeting itself, I think, lasted only 7. We had 2 things to discuss. In 7 minutes or less, Mr. Rittenhouse, Mr. Lembo, who's in charge of public safety, wanted a decision made about your safety, about our police officers' safeties in 7 minutes.
And
I
I can tell
object
you
to
why.
that because we did ask if anybody had other further questions, and it could have gone longer. And Mary
was
brought up
before
a
a
point,
meeting.
Mary brought up a point that when there's a motion to table, there is no discussion, although she allowed you to go on and on for the last 5 minutes. And, Mr. Dupont, is there a discussion on a motion to table?
I asked for discussion. The mayor granted discussion, which is impressive because he normally doesn't.
The attorney is making a decision.
I mean,
That's your job?
I asked the mayor to
Sorry,
discuss.
Vic.
You can certainly discuss the
I'm sorry, I
tabling of
called
the
the
motion.
order, but that's,
The mayor is the one
let's
who
get rid
correct
of
the
the
ma-
tabling motion first, then we can have a discussion.
There is some discussion on the tabling of a motion, but it pertains to the tabling.
Well,
No,
Isn't
there's a
that what
motion
I'm-
to table.
Right,
Yes.
there's a motion to table, and so that's
I
what
think
she's
that was my
discussing it.
question to Vinnie about the tabling of the motion.
Correct.
Okay, so
Yeah, I have no issue with it.
I just want to make sure that we're clear here, okay? Tabling the motion to go back and start from square one to discuss the radio options between Motorola and Harris or whatever other vendor. So you want to go back to square one. I just want to know one question. Are our fire and our policemen safe right now? You feel comfortable saying, I want to table this for more
I'm comfortable
time?
in tabling it, but we haven't been safe in years.
I
And
agree.
now all of a sudden that, for some reason, this is the final hour apparently, and we got to get something done right away. The reason, I can tell you why they gave you 7 minutes. That was their committee, and myself, VCOM, and the police chief, and the police captain all stood by and said that we wanted a Motorola standalone system in the meeting in March. Now all of a sudden it's going to come back, and now it's going to be Harris. Now we got to hurry up. I'll wait another 2 weeks to make sure we get it right.
Do you want to know who hurried it up? Oh, that went off. We could have had this discussion last meeting. The mayor refused to allow me to ask any questions. I don't understand why Motorola waited until Friday to give us this information.
And I don't understand why you don't listen to an expert, and we could have been done with this and had a new radio system on the way. Thank you.
Well, let's talk a little bit. I don't know if I can. I mean, we're talking about tabling something, but, I mean, I have some serious
Mr.
concerns.
Dupont, do you need this to read?
Mr. Rittenhouse, I appreciate, I don't know what you're holding up, I don't know what that document
Our
is,
rules
but
of order
I-
that we
but
have,
Mr.
that we've
Rittenhouse,
approved.
there is some discussion, as the mayor allowed the councilwoman to speak. I believe that she had concluded or is done with respect to her tabling discussion. I think now, if there's no other discussions regarding the tabling, you can vote on the tabling of a motion,
Why are we
of an
even having
ordinance.
discussions about that when we still had on the table the bonding ordinance?
Well, this is my understanding that this is a motion to table 336-16.
10 minutes ago, there was a motion made and
And so
seconded.
there is some discussion right now on just tabling the ordinance.
And that's what I thought I was,
You were
yes.
correct. That's correct.
Thank you.
Okay. Any other comments before we go to vote? Okay, there is.
Going into closed?
if-
No, a
If
vote.
this is voted to table, I am going, well, either way, I am going to ask the Department of Community Affairs to review this whole process, because it just, it gets weirder and weirder the longer it goes.
I agree.
And I believe that we probably have crossed the line of impropriety on this.
Well, Mayor,
That is my comment. Are there other comments before we go to vote?
Just
I
one
have-
last one, Mayor. Again, I just want to reiterate that this is about the funding of the radio system, not
Understood.
the actual radio system.
Understood.
They're two independent conversations.
Yep. Well, we'll have another conversation on the consent agenda,
Correct.
just to drive the point home. Okay, roll call?
Councilpersons Rittenhouse,
This is a motion to table,
Yes.
so yes vote is to table.
Buchanan,
No.
Grillo,
No.
Kilpatrick,
No.
Lembo,
Yes.
Novak.
No. Mayor, since there was no other public comments, I move the public portion be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
Well, wait a minute, before you go there, I have to ask, are there any other comments or questions? Yes, Ted?
I made a motion, was there a second?
There was.
Yes.
Yeah, but you know what?
Okay.
The public
I
hasn't
can't hear it, I'm
finished.
sorry.
So tell me where I'm wrong on this, Counselor. Who is running the meeting? The public hasn't finished commenting.
We closed the public session.
We didn't close the public portion.
There was no, after the motion to table, there was no motion to close. That's
Correct.
correct. So it still remained open. However, there was a motion that was.
Listen,
it
if
was
you,
just-
if it is the will of the governing body to, you know, not listen to the public, not listen to the residents,
Let 'em talk then.
this is a terrible thing.
There's-
This
I
is
b-
awful.
I move to rescind my second to continue the public.
Okay. All right, Ted, if you would, identify yourself and please share.
Ted Peterson, the Crestview Apartments, the home of the illegal rent increases and illegal evictions. This is a vote for an ordinance, correct? Just for money to fund the radios?
Correct.
And is there a specific number attached to this ordinance for the
Yes.
funding?
Yes.
And what is that number?
Total, the issuance of the bonds is $2,190,000.
Okay, now let's say that one of the vendors who agrees to this and agrees to the price bills without agreement by the council for $2,450,000.
They're not allowed to under the law.
Would that be close enough to the ordinance to satisfy it?
No, they'd be breaching the contract.
Well, how about the ordinance itself? If they come close to satisfying the ordinance, would that meet the requirements of the township?
The town can only spend that which was appropriated, so right now you have an ordinance appropriating 2.3 million, but authorizing the issuance of 2.1.
So whatever the ordinance says specifically,
That controls.
that controls. So you
correct.
can't say they came close to satisfying
No,
it,
that's not-
or
that's not-
roundabout they satisfied it?
No.
Okay. Ms. Kilpatrick, I'm amazed how you all of a sudden want to ask questions to all vendors. As liaisons, you never seem to ask questions when matters, I'll table that till later. Thank you.
Thank you, Ted. Are there any other questions or comments? Being no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion.
So moved.
Is
I
there a
move the
second?
public portion be closed, the ordinance adopted on second and final reading and advertised according to law.
It was already done, Mary. Is there a second?
Second.
Motion made and seconded.
What the hell are we doing?
Who knows?
No.
You know, this is such a zoo. Okay, I think the motion
There
was
was
made
never a
and
vote
seconded.
taken on the last motion.
Right now you have a motion that was,
Close the public portion.
right, you made the motion to close the public portion. Mary made that, it's my understanding that Dan seconded, and now you can have a roll call or discussion on the.
Well, which motion are we doing? Closing the public portion?
It's my understanding that
We always
Mar-
do it in joint.
it was a motion
It's the
to,
same thing, Kennedy. Read number 2.
Doing it for.
Wait a minute, they can't hear you on the first floor, Mary.
I think you,
Okay.
I think go ahead and roll the vote.
Roll call. Let's see how this one works.
What am I voting
what
on?
are we
Can we
voting
clarify
on?
that?
You have to ask Mary.
So we figure that out?
Yeah,
I have no idea
What are we
we're
voting
on
on?
now.
the adoption,
We should be voting on my motion.
hearing and adoption.
We are, Mary.
What are we voting on?
We're voting to the adoption, the closing of the public portion, and voting also on the adoption of the ordinance 336-16.
Isn't that two separate
know-
votes?
No, it never has been.
Your
Vicki,
Yes.
rules allow for
what
that.
did Mike just say? Because I can't, it sounds like he's got marbles in his mouth.
Can you speak louder for her mic?
Not in the
She
mic.
can't, this is a
Wait for the mic.
bad,
Mary?
Mary, can
There.
you?
Yes, you have presently made a motion to close the public portion and adopt ordinance
The
33...
ordinance, right.
Right, and that was seconded by Councilman Dan Buchanan, and now there's a roll call vote.
As we've done with every other
Okay.
ordinance.
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Buchanan,
Yes.
Grillo,
Yes to close and yes to adopt.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
Lembo,
No.
Rittenhouse,
No.
New business, Jessica.
I did receive the supplemental debt statement from CFO as of June 27, 2016.
Okay. And the next ordinance?
I make a motion that the statement be received and filed.
Second.
Next item.
Ordinance number 337-16, bond ordinance providing for the replacement of the Winding Wood wastewater pump station in, by, and for the Borough of Sayreville, New Jersey, appropriating $1 million therefore, and authorizing the issuance of $950,000 bonds or notes of the borough for financing part of such appropriation.
Mayor, I make a motion to approve this on first reading, advertised according to law, for public hearing to be held on July 11th, prevailing times.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Novak,
Yes.
Buchanan,
Yes.
Grillo,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
Lembo,
Yes.
Rittenhouse.
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to open the consent agenda items. It is, number 216 is the radio system. That is the award to Harris. So at this time, I'm going to open the public portion on the consent agenda items. Are there any questions or comments? Doug?
Doug Gumprick, Sayreville PBA Local 98, 1000 Main Street. With regards to the 216 for awarding of the contract, just to refresh, almost approximately 2 years ago, I wrote a letter addressed to the council here with our concerns regarding the radio system. Matter of fact, I filed a formal grievance to try to bring attention to it in a more formal manner, as opposed to just the letter. That was nearly 2 years ago, okay? In that time, the radio has been up, it's been down. It's been up, it's been down. But given the letter from Motorola now addressing the concerns, I think it's only fair at this point that you allow them maybe a second bite at the apple, if you would, not four, the second bite at the apple, to come in and address the concerns and the finances that we're talking about here. I would agree with Councilman Lembo and Rittenhouse that I think this is something that needs to be tabled. Bring the parties back if they're willing to come back, and have a more further discussion and to resolve this matter. Again, we hired a consultant, paid good money for that consultant, gave a recommendation, and we disregarded it. So I think at the very least, they should be afforded another opportunity to come back. So therefore, I ask that the council tables this ordinance and we come back again. Because again,
Not an
there's-
ordinance.
I'm sorry, Mary.
Resolution.
Resolution.
Mayor,
I say we table it here because it's been 2 years since we've had a radio of our own that worked on a regular basis. So in 2 years, there was no concern or hurry. What is another 14 days?
Mayor, at this time, I'm going to ask that we table 216, number 216. I'm asking that the fire, the first aid, and the police come up with questions for both parties. When we were in the meetings, we were told by the chief of police and captain of the police department that it didn't matter which radio system we went with as long as we had the freestanding system, and that was the major concern for them. So I want to make sure that we have all the questions by those parties answered for either company. I understand our questions up here, but we're not the ones that are using it. I want to make sure that the public safety people are clear with the questions that they have.
No, I'm good. Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan,
Yes.
Grillo,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
But what are we voting on?
They're voting on tabling the resolution to award Harris the contract for the radio system. Am I correct in that?
Yes, that's correct.
I mean,
Your vote, Mary?
No, Lembo?
I have a legal question before I answer, because it was my understanding that this was memorializing a vote we already took. It was a motion made, seconded, and passed by the council 2 weeks ago. This is just a memorialization of it, that we can't take it back.
That is accurate, Mary. However, the motion can be tabled for the memorialization, and then a motion can be also made for the withdrawal of the awarding of the contract for the public safety communication systems for a standalone 700 MHZ P25. It's 2 steps.
Well, now, I have a real question with this, and again, it's a legal one. I mean, I asked this question just a couple of days ago, and I was told that we couldn't go back on the vote we took. That we took it, Harris was notified, and we can't go back on it. So I'm getting conflicting legal information here. But here's another thing. If we table this, we cannot take it off the table unless Mr. Rittenhouse takes it off the table.
No,
So
Mary.
if
No,
the
it's
council
Mr. No, it's
Mary, I made the
Mr.
motion.
decides
It's
to
Mr.
do-
Mary, I haven't opened my mouth
we
on
can't
this
do
one.
it. We can't take it off the table.
Pay
Is that
attention,
correct?
Mary. It was Dan who tabled it.
Yeah, it was Dan Buchanan, Mary, not me. I haven't opened my mouth yet on
Okay,
this.
I can't even hear what the hell's going on, so.
We can.
Mary, at this point in time, there's been a motion to table the memorialization of 2016-216. There's also, maybe, I don't know if there's going to be, is a motion to withdraw any award resolution 2016-16. I don't know if that's going to be made. All I know at this point in time is there was a withdrawal to table the memorialization.
Okay,
But
Pat.
what happens to the vote from 2 weeks ago? That's what I want to know.
Well,
If we're just taking the memorialization and the vote from 2 weeks ago still stands, what exactly are we accomplishing here tonight?
that is correct. Currently, there is.
Okay, so the vote from 2 weeks ago still stands.
Correct, unless there's another motion made to vacate or to change that resolution.
Please, go ahead, Jessica. Pat Limbo?
Yes.
Novak?
No.
Rittenhouse?
Yes.
Okay.
Mayor, I'd like to make a motion that 2016-216, that we withdraw that offer.
Is there a second?
It's not an offer, it's a resolution awarding.
right.
So you're making a motion to vacate the resolution awarding the contract for the public safety communications as outlined in 2016-216. That's the motion. That's the resolution.
Thank you, Counselor.
Is that the motion, Arthur?
Yes, it is.
Is there a second on that motion?
Second.
Are there comments?
Yes,
Roll call.
Mayor, this gives us a chance to look at both the companies again without having that other one. I was very disturbed tonight. Dan Frankel, who should have recused himself because he's a county employee, called a meeting with Harris Tactical and with one of our committee people and never notified the head, the liaison to public safety, never notified me. I was never in on that meeting.
First of all, that's inaccurate, Art.
How is it inaccurate?
Because I was downstairs after one of the meetings, and I was approached by the fire department chiefs, one of the chiefs with the fire department, complaining about the actual types of radios that are being used for their department. And I had asked Dan to get a meeting so that that could be brought to his attention as well, considering they're the ones that are using those radios. It had nothing to do with Harris or with Motorola.
And why was the
Specifically,
Representative Harris in the room?
the Representative Harris was brought in afterwards when Vinny had asked a question about something, and I had asked the Representative Harris to go back and to talk to Vinny, but he was already in the mayor's office.
But don't you think you should have informed the head of the committee of public safety that's involved with the
At that point,
radios?
why wasn't I
Don't you think
notified
a
at that point?
courtesy?
I was asked in a meeting downstairs
Yeah,
after the
but,
meeting.
so then you just ignored the public safety committee.
I'm not
That's
ignoring
what
the
you did.
residents.
I was notified of it 2 minutes before.
Right,
And
2
the
minutes
fire
before.
and the fire department was ignored with what they have been asked for months. So this was trying to get it for them.
No, you're just working
No,
around again another angle to get this
You're
done
wrong,
for
Art.
Harris.
For the record, the fire
Wait a
chief
minute.
didn't come
You
in
know,
my
Art,
office.
That's very unfair, because until tonight, We had voted to get Harris, so we weren't trying to. I don't know who you're talking to. I don't know who was at this meeting, but the fact of the matter is we voted on this. We voted to award him the contract. So why would we be talking to Motorola when we already awarded it to Harris? That's a stupid statement to me.
If I could just interrupt here. So, right now you have a motion made by Mr. Rittenhouse for the purpose of vacating the resolution awarding the contract to TPS Harris. You have a second.
Are there any comments?
Well, just let me clarify. Also, if you do nothing, right now you have a resolution that has not been memorialized awarding the contract to TPS. So there's no reason to, there's no rush at this point in time, only because you haven't finalized or memorialized 2016-216.
Has Harris been contacted that they were given this award, that they won this contract?
I haven't
They were at
spoken.
the meeting.
I haven't spoken
They were
to
at the
her.
meeting, weren't they?
They were at the meeting, the last meeting. So let me understand this. So last council meeting, and for the past several months, we've been listening about having to get radio systems for the police department, fire, and EMS. We voted last council meeting to award the contract to Harris. And that vote was in the affirmative for Harris, the majority of, okay. So right now, we first voted to table the resolution for further discussion.
We voted to table the memorialization.
Should
You have not,
table-
right, you have not,
Tabling the vote.
right, you have not changed the award of that specific contract.
Okay, so the contract has still been awarded to Harris.
Vicky, the reason I asked to table it was because there was an issue that was brought up in the meeting with the fire chiefs that I would like to get addressed personally. I don't feel the need to unwind what we did yet, but I do want to hear the direct answer
Yeah,
from
listen.
the representatives.
You're speaking to a person that every time I tried to get an answer, I was told that was it, no more discussion, you can't talk to anybody. So by all means, I am all for answering questions, asking questions and having them answered. I'll never stand in the way of that, okay? That has to be done. Now, Arthur, your motion that was seconded was to,
Withdraw the offer to Harris.
It's,
As
it's to vacate the award of the
vacate the
contract.
award.
Which is superfluous at this point,
Which-
correct?
At this point in time, what you have is you have an existing resolution awarding the contract to Harris.
okay.
You now also have a memorialization that has been suspended pending, I guess there's some clarification that you wanted to do. You presently have a resolution that was voted on last meeting for the awarding of the TPS Harris. You now have a resolution by Mr. Rittenhouse to vacate that. What I would suggest is that rather than vacate at this point in time with the...
Counselor, there is a motion, and there's a motion
That's true.
seconded.
That's
You
true.
don't vote, so, but are there any comments on vacating the contract to Harris?
How much of a
Not
delay?
for the public, Ted.
How much of a delay is this going, like, are we looking at, in essence, almost going back? What I
To
want
the
to know,
drawing board.
what?
To the drawing board, because, I mean, I'm reading this letter from
Yeah.
Motorola, and basically, they're saying, I mean, Viacom could have answered these questions at any time. Viacom didn't even mention anything about the 911 system being non-compliant. Viacom didn't apparently know that Motorola also had this roaming and this 24-hour stuff. They did have the opportunity to speak at all three meetings, and they never mentioned any of these things. So maybe we should get a new consultant because they don't seem to know anything. According to this letter from Motorola, they're stating a lot of stuff that Viacom should have known, should have addressed at any of the meetings that we had, and they apparently knew none of this stuff. So maybe we need a new consultant before we start this process all over again.
Well, that's some of my
And
questions.
do we
yeah.
legally have an obligation to Harris? In any way, shape, or form, since this contract was given to them by a vote, do we have any legal problems with just saying, oh, well, 2 weeks later, we're going to cancel it.
There always is a issue that someone can file a bid objection. You currently have an existing resolution that awards the contract to TPS Harris. There is pending, apparently some clarification that is required, and what I would suggest is although there's a motion and a second.
Let the motion and the second, unless, of course, there is a council person who absolutely requires the councilor's statement. Is there such a council person?
That has a statement in reference to this? Yes. Okay. Mayor, you talked a lot at the last council meeting and again now saying what a disservice that this entire situation was and the way that this whole entire thing broke down. That's fine. You want to go back to the drawing board. You want to go back to square one. I sat here and I listened to the chief, and now I've listened to Vinny say that he wants to go back to the drawing board. My concern was the safety of these individuals. I asked as many questions as I could. I do hear what Mary's saying, and I do have a major problem with VCOM. Why any of these issues that are listed within this letter and the 911 system was never discussed, never brought up, never shared with us at all? Why all of a sudden at the 13th hour on a Friday before a council meeting on Monday to vote on this suddenly comes up? I have a major issue with that. That's concerning to me in reference to our consultant. Why didn't they tell us this from day one? We might not have to sit here right now and have to delay it yet again. That's a problem. I don't like that.
Okay.
But my other problem is, especially when it comes to
Is this
VCOM.
under comments on the motion?
Yes.
Okay. Just to get clarity.
Comments under, because like everybody else here, I mean, nobody wanted to delay this any longer. Nobody wanted to. I do want to look into getting a different consultant here, and I'm afraid that if we close this and vote on this, my comments will be shut down again, unless there's another point for me to make my comments in reference to our consultant. Mr. Dupont, is there another time, or will I be shut down by the mayor?
Well, again, you presently have a motion and a second. I would caution the mayor and council on vacating the award until you thoroughly investigate what this letter that you received on Friday reveals, and maybe it will change or require a need to vacate Resolution 2016-216. I would recommend that you fully investigate this correspondence that you received just a couple days ago and determine if, in fact, the information contained in there would change or would require a vacating of Resolution 2016-216, because maybe it's a little premature to do it at this point in time. I don't know, because the letter just was received.
Well, considering that you're talking about the letter and going with Harris or Motorola, I have concerns over our consultant. What would be the most appropriate time to discuss that?
Well, I think at this point in time, that's not before the mayor and council. It's probably something to talk about in your agenda meeting about that. But at this point in time, I'm not quite sure I would discuss that.
So so the motion is then to sit down again with our consultant currently to discuss and clarify the issues raised by Motorola.
Oh, currently there's presently a motion to vacate the award.
Oh, that's
and
right.
there's a second.
Okay.
I would caution all of you on that.
Now, I think Mr. Rittenhouse said he wanted to withdraw the offer. I believe that's what he said, to withdraw the offer.
Right, the technical term is vacate, as the counselor said.
So I would.
Motion is to vacate the offer.
Vacate, synonym for.
And I would caution the mayor and I would caution the mayor and council on voting on the affirmative on this, pending your investigation of this correspondence that was received on the 25th or 2 days ago.
This council has done this before. Are there other comments before we go to a vote on this?
Yes, Mr. Mayor. You said earlier that there's nothing routine about this consultant process, and it's true. I think we've all gone down the rabbit hole now. And to delay this vote, we voted on it. It's probably appropriate. And I think that's an indication of the poor consulting work or questionable consulting work that we received. It has now devolved into a letter writing campaign between Harris 2 weeks ago and Motorola this week. It's a he said, about technical specifications that were never fully flushed out by the consultant. And the way that I look at this letter, in the 6 items that they reference, 5 of them are the same as Harris, and 1 of them is a contract negotiation item. So these are all critical items that were never brought to our attention by the consultant. And I find that particularly disturbing. Additionally, I find it fascinating that a letter by Harris 2 weeks ago was brushed off as propaganda from a company, yet this letter is read in full like gospel by the mayor. And you know, and then finally, in the penultimate paragraph here, Motorola accuses us of graft, essentially, that we would manipulate the process for our financial gain. That is not a particularly appropriate thing to write in a letter. By someone who constantly refers to our competitor, our competitor, our competitor. Well, this is just garbage. It's just frustrating that it's gone to this point, and that the consultants did not give us the information we requested. And I'm as frustrated as anybody else.
Mr. Mayor, let me just make a comment there to Steve. The consultant did have everything. All the meetings I were in, our consultant had all of that. But my concern is, you mentioned Harris and there 2 weeks ago. Let us not forget that the county administrator sat at a meeting with us and guaranteed that Harris would match the price. Sat at a meeting, so the county administrator is negotiating for a vendor. And Mr. Frankel also has been negotiating for Harris and bringing Harris in.
Mr.
And
Rittenhouse, I have not negotiated with Harris.
I'm
Mr.
speaking-
Rittenhouse, okay,
I
when you
am
make an
speaking.
accusation, make the truth. Thank you, sir.
It was the truth. He's a county employee. He shouldn't be taking part in all of these.
Point of order.
He called up council people and had them meet with Harris and told me that I can't have meetings with more than 3 council people because it would violate the Open Public Meetings Act.
There wasn't one.
So that, you know, there is a lot of questions there, and that's why I'd like to withdraw this. That's why we need to start and look fresh at the contract.
First,
Are there any other comments?
yes, there are. I have a couple comments here because once again, the ridiculousness of these comments about, to make it clear to everybody out there, we're not going with the county system. You keep throwing the county out there like this is we chose to go standalone, Arthur. Standalone, at the request and recommendation.
What radio
of-
system?
It's,
Councilwoman Kilpatrick has the floor right now.
thank
You'd
you.
like to throw that out? She's
Thank
on the
you.
floor.
Oh, it's different
Okay.
when we speak, huh?
No, every time you opened your mouth, I sat there and let you speak. I've been told by the mayor that I can't even ask a question, which I find interesting. We're not going with the county system. We're not. VCOM and the fire chief, along with the police department, you wanted a standalone system, true? You have a standalone system, okay? But maybe if we rescind all of this, this is square one again. So I'm assuming all of those things come back on the table again. So
Everything's on the
everything's back on the table. Although we did vote last week that this was standalone. We were going standalone. That's what you needed. It offered the redundancy through questions and clarification. That was great, okay? Harris and Motorola, 2 separate vendors. That was the only thing we went up for discussion for. For some reason, the mayor especially has made it clear he wants no communication, no questions to be asked by me. We had to shut everything down to get clarification. Couldn't ask a question. But Motorola is able to write and submit this letter stating all of their points, all of their issues, all of their supposed comments about miscommunications. Now we have Mr. Rittenhouse, who is up here making statements that somebody is trying to push the county. We're not going with the county. So now you're saying Harris, in some way, shape, or form now is this big conspiracy that we as council want to give, we as Democratic council people want to give this contract over to Harris. But
That is correct.
that is correct. Okay, great. So let me show you some of the things. Go ahead, I'll let you speak. Again, interrupt me, but I'll let you speak.
You asked me if it was correct. I said yes.
Okay, no, but you had more to add. Go ahead.
I'm not talking about a standalone versus going with the county. I've always been in favor of the standalone.
Okay,
Never
but
made a
your
difference.
issue is with Harris,
That's correct.
okay? Because you seem to think that we are pushing Harris, correct?
That's correct.
Okay. Why we would push Harris, I don't understand, okay? I have nothing to gain from whether Harris or Motorola comes in here to do our standalone. However, I did find some interesting things that maybe the mayor, or maybe Mr. Rittenhouse would like to find, or maybe the residents would like to find out. I found out that one of our consultants under VCOM, as a matter of fact, Mr. Stern, David Stern. Apparently, David Stern, who is vice president and co-founder of VCOM, is a previous program manager for Motorola. He's our consultant. Now, I found this interesting. When you look up under VCOM's personal webpage, you have David Stern listed with his bio, right here. Small bio, references a few things, a few work that he did, but I found that the bio was rather general. I happened to Google his name again, and I found under Cumberland County Board of Chosen Freeholders on February 23rd of 2016, his bio was different. That bio included the Motorola program manager job that he held for quite a while. I found that interesting, that our consultant, the vice president and co-founder of the organization that stood up here and told us we needed to go with Motorola, did not disclose that he worked for this company, for Motorola. Not saying anything was wrong, but I would have liked to have known that. But I got more. Here, you want my phone? Call DCA now. Next thing I looked at, Mayor. You're friendly with Chris Christie, or at least you've been around Chris Christie a lot. I believe that you got appointed a nice job, $100,000. Interesting. I found that Mr. Christie, Greg Brown, chairman and CEO of Motorola, let's see, hosted dinners, helped run Governor Christie's presidential campaign, CEO of Motorola. I find interesting that the mayor has such an issue with us even entertaining or asking questions of Harris. So I have my consultant that worked for Motorola. I have Governor Christie, who has a direct tie to the CEO of Motorola. But I'll go one step further. I found out that VCOM also works with an LLC, Salmon Ventures. Also does consulting work, a lot of it, and they join forces with VCOM. In doing some research, I found out that one of the former presidents of Salmon Ventures, that now works under VCOM, was a man by the name of Richard, I think it's Morx, M-R-O-X, who was just named by Chris Christie as the Director of Public Utilities and so forth, directly connected with our VCOM company. So when you talk about who's pushing what our consultant told us and what our consultant did not, things that came out later about a 911 compatibility or software program that hasn't even had regulations that were passed yet by the state. And yet Motorola is putting that in there in this letter that the mayor just read to say that Harris was not compliant. Yet I believe that Harris is compliant. I believe that our own IT and even VCOM themselves sent a letter saying that the 911 service that is offered by Harris is 100% compliant, and in the event that the new regulations come out, that even Motorola can't guarantee, or maybe they can because they have inside individuals within the State Department telling them what those regulations might be, that they would make that accusation. Harris, however, has guaranteed that in the event that the regulations are not compliant with the current 911 system they have, that they would upgrade it free of charge with no issue. So when you sit there, Mr. Rittenhouse and Mayor, you know, the only one that I see that would have anything vested in here when it comes to Motorola or connections, it's not me. Maybe it's you. Maybe that's why we're up here. I have a major issue with our consultant firm who did not disclose that one of their vice presidents and co-founders that was sitting in this room and trying to tell us which vendor to go through never disclosed that they worked for that vendor. That is a major red flag. Major red flag. Major red flag. I just want to do my job up here to the best of my ability. And when I wasn't getting answers, you're absolutely right. I made sure to ask those questions. And when I'm peeling back this onion, Mayor, to use your words, it's not passing the stink test, Mayor. It's not passing the stink test. I want the absolute best for our police, our fire, and our EMS. You want to go back to square one, Vin? You tell me the men are safe. You tell me that we can take this time. Let's have at it. I will listen to any single person that wants to talk to me. I have never denied talking to you or listening to them. I sat outside in parking lots listening. I called other municipalities. I'm not vested to Harris or Motorola. I'm not. But this is an issue. Then I don't.
In giving this job to Motorola, aren't they?
It seems to me like something isn't right. You want the best. I want to give you the best. I agreed to the standalone, as did everybody else up here. But this isn't right, Vin. This isn't right. And for you to sit here and say that, or make a statement like, listen to your first responders, I sat at my daughter's communion. 3 police officers happened to be there, and I went down and I walked away from my family to find out what they had to say about these radios. Okay, if you think for 1 minute, I mean, Dan Buchanan, he made the motion to table it to get you more information. Just watch who you're vilifying. I think you're vilifying the wrong people. Okay? We want what's the best. What do we get by putting your lives in danger? No, listen. Do you see why I have an issue now with a consultant that never discloses they worked for a company? Vin, I don't. Excuse me.
Wait, let's, Vinnie, I can't at the moment. Because this is
any single one of the police,
longer comments
fire, EMS, any person that wants to sit there and talk to me, any day. I'm here. I'm off. It's summertime. Come to my house. Sit down. I will listen to anything you have to say. I will vote for what is the best. But I'm not going to sit up here and allow the mayor and allow Mr. Rittenhouse to frame me or anybody else up here that I know is just trying to do their, and I'm glad that I looked up these things because something is not right. Mayor, it doesn't pass the smell test.
Are you done?
Hey, Vicki, may I interrupt?
Oh, by all means, Mary. We've been waiting for this.
Who's speaking? I can't hear any.
That's all right. Keep going.
Okay. I have a couple of problems, too. What's happened over the past 2 weeks is I have dispatchers saying that me personally voted for Harris. Now, this is what they're being told, and they're getting it from police headquarters. I don't know whether this is evil or just misinformed people down there, but they told the dispatchers that we went with Harris because the county is going to start dispatching. And it'll be easier for us. We want to do away with our dispatchers in Fayetteville. Now, this is probably one of the most ludicrous things that I've ever heard of in my life. And I'm a little bit upset that the dispatchers would even believe such a thing when I am the only one since 2000 that worked against doing away with our residency preference. I didn't want to do it back then, but I didn't have the votes. But I made sure it was written in that thing with the NAACP that after 5 years, if nothing had changed, that we could get rid of it. So for the next,
Mary, is this relevant to Arthur's
thinking,
motion?
for the next 6 years,
Mary,
I worked
is
when I
this,
wasn't
is
even a
this
council
relevant to
person
Arthur's
to
motion?
get this fixed. I got back on the council in January of 2011, and I had Captain Fitzsimmons, Lieutenant Brennan, and Chief Sobrowski come up to me, and they said,
Mary, is this relevant to the motion?
and I said I
Mary?
would get rid of that before the end of the year, and I did.
Mary?
Why in heck
Mary?
do I want to go to county dispatching when I don't think anybody that works for the town should live out of the town, all things being equal?
Are we voting on
I'm the one who
dispatchers
voted for that,
tonight?
So there's no
Are we
way in
voting
heck
on
that I am
dispatchers?
going to go with the 911 system. So now somebody at police headquarters is trying to scare the dispatchers that I'm trying to get for their job. Secondly, a captain, and I consider this a threat, quite frankly, that the police officer doesn't, nobody comes to help them because this new Harris system is going to fail, that I can be personally blamed if they get hurt. Now, what are they saying? Are they saying the Harris radios are going to fail? Or maybe to make them look like they're going to fail, they're not going to answer a distress call from a police officer. I'm not sure exactly how that went. But I am so sick of hearing about the safety. Since 1980, these radios, and they're all Motorola's, have been a problem. There have been dead zones in towns. For the past, since December, since the police finally came to a council meeting in Mass to tell us, do you know that our radios are not working at all? That we can't communicate unless we use phones? We're the ones that have been trying to move this along as quickly as possible. We have had $4 million in the budget since at least 2011 to do this system. Every year we're told we're not ready for that step yet, so we push it off. We didn't push it off because we didn't want to spend the money. We pushed it off because the police department was not ready to proceed with this project. I have done everything within my power to get this done and get this done right. What I just heard from Vicki, I was upset before with the lies that are being told at police headquarters. I'm infuriated now after we're being blamed for doing something illegal or, nefarious, that in fact it's the Republican Party that's doing it. Everybody here has financial ties to one another, and they all have financial ties to Christie, and Christie gave Kennedy O'Brien a 6-figure job with a pension and the health benefits for life. That doesn't pass the stink test, and it ain't the Democrats. Thank you.
Did you want to say anything about this tabling, Mary? Mary?
I'm sorry, I couldn't hear that. I just heard
Do you
my
want to
name. I
say
didn't hear
anything?
else.
Do you want to say
This is
anything about the
This is
tabling?
the time when you say something about the motion, not about your reelection. Did you have any comment on this motion? Okay, are there other comments?
I'm not even sure exactly. I heard Art say that he wanted to withdraw the offer. Is that the motion?
Yes.
Well, what have you been talking about, Mary?
We can't table something we already voted on.
Yes,
So,
you can. We've done it a
what
number of times
exactly are we
before.
voting on right now? And I'm not up for reelection.
Vacating, it's not, let Michael Dupont explain to you.
Mary, what, the motion, and I caution against this at this time, but the motion is to vacate. She can't hear me now. It's a motion to vacate the award of 2016-216 that was made but not yet memorialized. The memorialization was tabled. Now there's a motion to vacate 2016-216. I would caution the mayor and council on that until you've investigated this correspondence of June 14th or June 25th. That would be my recommendation, that although it might eventually be vacated, until you've fully investigated, I would not vacate this award or this resolution.
Okay, did you comments on that, Mary?
Well, if we have our attorney telling us that it could put us in legal jeopardy to vacate this, and then we still do, we're abdicating our responsibility to the taxpayers that might wind up paying for this anyway.
Okay, did you have anything else to say, Mary?
No.
Okay, are there any other comments?
What the heck?
Okay,
Let's do one more. So,
For
this
you, it's
letter,
nothing.
we've got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 points, and we want to vacate to examine these 6 points when all they're doing is saying that Motorola's P25 system can roam, Motorola's radios give 90% coverage. This is them just trying to match what Harris has already said that they will do, that there's not going to be a functionality loss with a failover, even though they had an opportunity to say all these things, but now they're saying it here. Compliant with the county system down the road. They offer 24-hour monitoring. And so we're going to discuss that. Okay, I take it at what it is. I mean, are we going to discuss the 911 system that hasn't been officially put into any regulation by the state of New Jersey? And Harris has already said that they are compliant with what is there now, and in the event that there is a change through the regulation, that they will guarantee that the system is compliant. I mean, they've already gave us that guarantee, but if we want to investigate that letter, it sounds pretty good to me. It just sounds like they're saying, oh, we can do everything Harris can do. That's fine. Still have my issues with the consultant, still have my issues with the connections.
My understanding from this letter that there'll still be cost more to just do what Harris can do. Is that correct? Maybe a business administrator. Is that correct? They will still be costing more than Motorola will still cost more than Harris to do exactly what Harris says they can do.
We don't know.
Well, they're not changing any cost, it doesn't look like, but you know what? I said my piece. I have issues with our consultant. I have issues with the connections to Motorola from VCOM, from their vice president, from their co-founder. I have issues with the connection to Motorola and Mr. Christie, and you know, the mayor is quick to say all the time that this one should recuse, this one shouldn't speak, and yet he had gotten his job through Christie, and he works for this. So these are my issues.
Have you concluded?
Call for a vote?
Okay, no, not yet. In this letter, with these people from VCOM, Motorola, the vice president of Motorola, states Motorola Solutions is the industry leader and has installed and currently maintains more trunk radio systems than all of our competitors combined. So if you say that our consultant had worked for Motorola, it's a good thing. He's worked for the largest and the most experienced. I didn't know this, and I don't know if in our RFP we said that this is not allowed. As far as Governor Christie and all the other inferences and innuendo, I saw a wonderful quote today which really should address this. And it goes, since light travels faster than sound, some people appear bright until you hear them speak. And that's how I'll answer that. Now, I do have great reservations about whether or not this is a legal contract, or not so much the contract, but the process. I really am going to ask for outside opinion on this, because I did knowingly at the last meeting ask Harris to come forward, and they gave their presentation,
No.
which may or may not be in the
That was at
normal
least 2 meetings
accepted.
ago.
Okay.
Yeah, it was 2 meetings
You
ago.
didn't let Harris speak.
Whenever it was, 2 meetings ago.
Only
Okay.
VCOM was allowed to speak at the last meeting, Mayor.
Okay,
Yes.
light does travel faster than sound. Okay, that being said, comments are done. Let's vote on tabling this award.
No, we already did that.
No, you don't
Vacate,
need, no.
the vacating.
Vacating.
Vacating it. Motion made and seconded. Jessica, roll call, please.
Councilpersons Rittenhouse?
Yes.
Buchanan?
No.
Grillo?
I voted for Harris on merit, and I'm also taking the advice of our attorney and I am voting no to vacating.
Kilpatrick?
No.
Lembo?
Yes.
Novak?
No, on the advice of our attorney.
Who's your attorney?
Michael Dupont,
It's not her attorney, the borough attorney.
our attorney.
Okay, all right.
Our, not my, our.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, I'm sorry, the communication is very poor. I'm sorry.
Okay, we're still in the public portion, aren't we?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, are there questions or comments on the public portion? Ted? It's only on consent agenda items, Ted.
I find it amazing how Ms. Kilpatrick and Ms. Novak both vote according to the recommendation of the township attorney. Yet, when the township hired the consultant, they voted against the recommendation of the township consultant. It appears that you're choosing when to confirm the opinions of others within the township and excuse yourself for your own vote.
Excuse me, I didn't give a reason for why I said no.
Okay.
So,
Okay. So, I mean, if you're disregarding the consultant, well, how does that make sense then to just say, I'm voting because the attorney says something?
I didn't say that.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Yes, Vinnie?
When you mentioned about Motorola, they had their chance to speak. When was that? They weren't allowed to talk last meeting?
Motorola had their chance to speak at the same meetings that Harris did. They did have a chance to speak at the public session, and every time that Harris has been able to speak at a council meeting, with the exception of the last one, I didn't ask to speak to Motorola at the last council meeting. I asked for Harris to come up because I had specific questions for them. The mayor allowed VCOM to get up and speak. I would think that as a consultant that previously worked for Motorola, they would probably be able to articulate, especially since their job description included systems and system analysis and all of that.
Well, then what you're saying is Motorola wasn't afforded the same opportunity.
No, they were afforded the exact same opportunity as Harris. They were actually afforded more because they had their letters
They
read.
didn't have 5 offers.
What?
They didn't have 5 offers.
Where do you get
Motorola
5?
had 2.
When?
Oh, I'm sorry, was Harris 4? It was 4 or 5,
What are
whatever
you
it was.
talking about? I
Their
don't
offers.
understand what you're talking about.
Their offers that they put in, they had 4 or 5 best and final offers.
I saw the same offers. Did they have 4 or 5 best and final offers? I don't believe so.
Yes,
They
they
had
did.
4 or 5 best or final offers?
Yes, they
I
did.
saw this
Well,
one
then-
table.
That's not true.
I didn't
Well,
have 4
then I
or
guess you
5
didn't pay
final-
attention to the PowerPoint. It's okay.
No, no,
But anyway,
I
thank
did, but.
You didn't, but anyway.
I'm sorry, but
I want
Mr.
to thank you for
Frankel,
I want to
my
thank you for
business-
tabling the other part of it.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I also want to thank you for showing the first responders, police, fire, and EMS in this town that you don't listen to them and you're in it for whatever is in it for you on this
But
is
how
obviously
do I
good
not
enough.
listen to them? What
Because
are
we
you
made the
talking-
recommendation and it's still Harris. We told you what we want. And I don't understand why you insist on not listening to us. But you say it's in our best interest,
No, no, no.
which it's not. And our
Excuse me.
safety isn't important because if that was the case, we
Vin-
would already be working on a
You
system.
need to be careful with what you're saying I'm saying. I have an issue with our consultant. I have an issue with the fact that it wasn't disclosed to us that they worked for
Question.
Motorola. I have an issue with some of the other connections to individuals in this room with Motorola. I absolutely had questions, and apparently you have questions as well. I agreed to table so you can get those questions answered. I am concerned about a couple of things in relation to rescinding this particular resolution, because we do have comment from our attorney, but I still have let's open it up, but I'm also concerned about the fact that the chief has come up here multiple times saying that we need to move forward with this. This is very important. If we turn around and have discussions again, and something else comes out glaring, but I just feel that this letter clearly is saying that regardless of the vendor, that these systems operate under a P25 system and they're all compliant and they all do the same thing. I'm concerned about what Motorola is doing also. Very concerned about
Well,
that.
everybody around us uses Motorola, so do you think we should stick with the same thing they use also?
When you say everybody,
Well, we go to South River, we go to East Brunswick, we go to over the bridge to Carteret, Perth Amboy, Woodbridge. I mean, I don't understand.
So everybody in the county uses Motorola?
I didn't say everybody in county.
You
I
said it. Oh, you said
everybody around
everybody.
us. That we go to. We don't go to any towns that use Harris
Yet.
yet. But we're talking about now. And you did say that, you know, you're worried about our safety and now you want to get this done. Well, then why don't you do what we're asking for instead
And
of what
you
you want?
asked to have discussion, you asked to get answers. I agreed with Mr. Buchanan
And
here.
I understand that.
I do.
But on the original vote, if you actually cared what we had to say, you would have listened to us in the first place. Thank you.
Okay, are there any other questions on consent agenda items? Being no other questions on consent agenda items, I'll entertain a motion.
I'm making a motion that we close the public portion.
Second.
Roll call?
Who made that motion?
Vicky second.
Councilpersons Grillo,
Yes.
Buchanan,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
Lembo,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Rittenhouse.
Yes.
Mayor, I move that the consent agenda resolutions be approved on roll call vote, noting that 216 has been tabled.
Is there a second?
Second.
Vicki, I didn't hear what the motion was, I'm sorry.
You want to repeat that?
It's just to adopt the consent agenda.
Just adopting the consent agenda, Mayor.
Okay. I'm sorry, I didn't want to vote on something I couldn't hear. Thank you.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Buchanan,
Yes.
Grillo,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
Lembo,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Rittenhouse.
Yes.
Wait, I would like to make some appointments to Sarah tonight. First, I'd like to appoint Rosetta Fisher to a term on Sarah.
I just received them tonight.
Did we get a
Is there a motion?
Did we get an application from her? I didn't see one in the packet.
It was turned in late today.
Oh, I didn't get it.
I just received them.
No, it was turned in, right.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Rittenhouse,
Yes.
Buchanan,
No.
Grillo,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
No.
Lembo,
Yes.
Novak,
No. I never received a copy of her application.
Us.
Nor did we, Mary.
Nor did we.
Well, then we can't do it without it.
I vote,
It is
I vote yes. I'd like to reappoint Don Newton. Is there a motion?
Steve voted yes.
Is there a motion for Don Newton?
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Lembo,
Yes.
Buchanan,
Yes.
Grillo,
Yes.
Kilpatrick,
Yes.
Novak,
Yes.
Rittenhouse.
Yes.
I'd like to appoint, I keep calling him by his grandfather's name, Pete Delina, but it's not Pete.
Kevin Delina.
Kevin Delina.
Oh.
Is there a motion? To Sarah.
So
Is there a
moved.
motion?
So moved.
Mayor, who is this to replace?
It's to
Hartsfield.
replace, well, Darrell didn't reapply, and Delina would replace Dennis Scribelny.
And Dennis had put his application in, correct?
Yeah, so did Kevin, I think. Okay, is there a motion for Kevin Delina?
Yes.
So moved.
Is there a second?
Second.
Roll call?
Councilpersons Rittenhouse,
Yes.
Buchanan,
No.
Grillo,
This is to replace Hartsfield?
No, to replace Gravellini.
To replace Grabelny, right? Dennis
Scribelny.
This is, I just want to make sure I'm clear. Delina to replace Grabelny? No.
Kilpatrick,
No.
Lembo,
Yes.
Novak,
No.
Okay. At this time, I'm going to open the public portion for questions or comments on any and all topics. Ted?
Okay. Mr. Buchanan and Mr. Grillo, honestly, very happy to see your conduct up there, and I'm very proud of you, the two of you, for being independent. We're getting back to everybody here, the Rent Control Board and the Rent Control Board vote. Mr. Dupont, take this as my appeal to the council of their decision, and that I will be applying to the council for a, an appeal of the matter.
Yeah, I think you have to provide a written appeal, so it's 20 days and from the date of the award. I don't have the date of the award. It's 20 days from that award. So whatever that award is, you have to put it in writing to the clerk.
Well, just so you know, within the ordinances, there's no instructions on how to appeal to the council.
I believe in the
It just says I must file an appeal with the council.
Right, so I think you have to file a written appeal with the borough clerk 20 days from the date of the award. I don't know when that award is, so I can't advise you on
But
that.
is that 20 days specific? Like if I bring it in the 23rd day, would that be okay?
No.
Why not?
It's because it's 20 days. 20 days from to appeal the decision.
So when there are days in an ordinance, I have to comply with those?
That's correct.
So it's not like satisfies it or a roundabout?
No, it's 20 days, and I think it's pretty clear within the.
No, it says 20 days.
Right.
But I just want to make sure, so if I do go 22 days,
No, it's got to be filed within 20 days of the date.
that wouldn't satisfy it? That wouldn't satisfy it?
22 or 23 days doesn't satisfy it.
Because the ordinance, when an ordinance has specific time restrictions, they have to be complied with, is that correct?
That's correct.
Or they violate the ordinance?
It's not for me to decide, but that's my opinion.
Okay. Ms. Kilpatrick, first off, again, guys, thank you very much. Mr. Lembro, thank you for your help. Mr. Rittenhouse, thank you for your help. Ms. Kilpatrick, I thought that I could get over your actions and your conduct the way you treated me. The first time I brought my problem with the illegal rent increases and illegal evictions to you, you took me outside, just like you said in your speech. You spent 20 minutes to a half hour with me. You told me that I should be tenant of the year, standing up for the tenants' rights. And then for the next 6 months, you never returned a phone call. You said to the police department, the fire department, come to my house, sit at my pool. I'm always willing to discuss things. Well, when it comes to 30% of the residents of Sayreville and being illegally evicted and having illegal rent increases, you didn't have the time to return a phone call. You're a phony and pretentious woman, and your actions are just...
Point of order.
They're despicable.
Ted, you can't go there.
Okay. Thank you very much.
Are there any other, yes?
Charlie Lukey, down in Melrose. I got a problem. On the 16th of the month, two things happened to me. I was up by Ruppy's Hardware. This individual is walking down the street. His drawers are down around his ankles, right? He's mooning everybody on Washington Road. I think this person is reaching out for help. I'm in the Burger King at 5 o'clock in the afternoon.
What time was this?
Pardon?
What time?
What time? The first one was around noontime.
No.
All right. And then when I did talk to somebody at the hardware, they told me that they told these people, stay out of the store. We don't want you as a customer. So now, 5 o'clock in the afternoon, I'm in Burger King. There's two individuals rubbing their butt with their underwear on the counter. So the girl says to me, what are you going to have? I said, get me the manager. I want the manager here. So this fella comes over. He said, what's your problem? I said, my problem is these people are rubbing their underwear on that counter, and you're going to put my supper on there? Not today, you ain't. So I asked him to clean it. You know what he did? Turned around and told the woman behind me, come on, you're next. Completely ignored me. Now, the owner, not the owner, the franchise, he comes out of the office, and he asked me, what's going on? And I explained it to him. He went back in the office and never came out. Okay?
What date was this?
The 16th.
Both of them. Okay.
All right. Now I go to the next day, because it was after 5, I went to the Board of Health. The man at the Board of Health tells me that if you don't have an ordinance that says that you can tell these people they can't come in and they can't be served with their underwear out, all right? I have nothing to go by, all right? I can't just go and tell them.
Yeah, but if they're rubbing their dupa up on the counter.
They were, Your Honor. Mayor,
I
they
think
were.
that's an unsanitary condition.
Right, and I brought it up to their what you call, and they like ignored me. All right, so I called the county.
I'm gonna speak with the Board of Health. Dupa rubbing is not allowed in food prep areas.
I called the county, and the county man tells me there's nothing he can do.
Oh, yeah?
But he told me, he says, what has to be done is in the borough, you have to pass an ordinance saying that this can't be allowed.
Now,
These people are reaching out for help, I think.
Well, they're reaching out for something. I'm not sure what it is, but they're not gonna do it in Saraville. So you have two issues. One is walking around with those damn pants down around your knees.
Right.
And the other one is really an unsanitary condition.
Right.
So let me deal with the easy one first, which is the unsanitary condition, and instruct the borough attorney to come up with the appropriate ordinance.
Right.
Not allowing that.
That
I can't believe the Board of Health said that was okay. I'd like you to call the Board of Health, Mike.
Yeah, he told me that he has no authority because there's nothing on the books in the borough of Saraville that says that isn't
Well, bring
allowed.
a half a dozen people over to his house and give it a once-over on the kitchen counter.
I did go once to the Board of Education about that. Now, think of this. In the Burger King, you got a little kid goes up to the counter and he wants to get something, right? And he's rubbing his hands, maybe his chin on it, where this clown was rubbing himself. I mean, it's got to stop.
Yep.
Something like
The
that.
other one is more of a, I no longer know what constitutes indecent exposure, but I'll certainly have the chief of police.
Right, and they told me that was indecent exposure, and a police officer would have to take care of that.
Yeah.
Well, you call a cop, it's going to be 15 minutes before he shows up.
Is this a kid?
Well, I would say he's in his 20s.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah, well, put him to work picking onions.
You know what you should do is to take him off the street, evaluate him. If it's a joke and if it's a whim, he pays for the psychiatrist.
You know, they
If
used
he
to-
needs help, then the county pays for his medical help.
They used
There's
to
a way
put him in
around
the
it.
car and drop him off in Monroe. But those days are gone.
All right, thank you. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank
Are there
you
any
for
other questions or comments? You two are new here. Did you have any questions or comments? Just for the entertainment value? Okay. Okay. All right, with that, I'm gonna take a motion to adjourn.
Motion
and
to
then
close the
take-
public portion and adjourn?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
All right, so let's reopen this. Would everyone please stand for a salute to our flag? We're going to open the agenda portion of our meeting. I pledge allegiance to the flag.
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all, born and unborn.
Okay. Statement of publication, Jessica.
Take notice that this agenda session of the mayor and council being held on this 27th day of June 2016 has been advertised and posted in accordance with Open Public Meetings Act, Chapter 231, Public Law 1975.
Roll call.
Councilpersons Buchanan.
Here.
Grillo.
Here.
Kilpatrick. Here. Lembo.
Here.
Novak.
Still here.
Here.
Rittenhouse.
Here.
Jessica, has anything changed from the one in the packet
No.
to this one?
No.
Okay. Do I have enough down there? Yeah, you need one?
We need one.
Okay, here.
It's the same as
Okay.
the packet, right?
Old business, call out if you have any questions or comments on ordinance 33716. Okay, with that, we'll go to committee reports, administration and finance, Councilwoman Novak.
Yes, I make a motion that the following minutes and department reports is listed on the agenda under 1, A, B, and C be received and filed.
Second.
Next item?
Okay, number 2, 2016 tax appeals. They've been received, I say forwarded to the tax council.
Okay.
Number 3, application for person-to-person transfer. Do we need to schedule a meeting for that?
I don't know, we
Or
can
no?
wait till Terry comes back, or,
I didn't hear what you said.
She wants to know if you schedule a meeting for the person.
Okay, we have to schedule a meeting. Okay. Notice of a public hearing and from JCP&L scheduled up till July 12th for public discussion for petition filed by the BPU for rate increase in non-utility generation charge. That is received and filed in the clerk's office.
anything else?
That is progress, Mayor.
Thank you. Planning and zoning, Councilman Grillo.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the following minutes or reports be received and filed. The construction officials report, the zoning and code enforcement report, the fire prevention report, all for the month of May 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
The planning board minutes of April 6th, 2016 and May 4th, 2016.
No, go ahead, Steve.
The Middlesex County Planning Board minutes of May 10th, 2016, and the Main Street Bypass Committee minutes of May 26th, 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
Next item?
Also received the following Planning Board resolution, which was memorialized on June 15th, 2016. A, supporting the Sayreville proposed affordable housing compliance plan, and B, the Town Lake East community to construct a sign at their entrance.
Is there a second?
Second.
Okay. Next item, Steve.
Just a quick question for Jay. For those of you who've driven past White Oaks Drive and Main Street, you'll see that the silt fence was installed and there's some cement housings that were dropped today to put a traffic light at that intersection. So Jay, could you just give us a quick project update?
Yes, that is correct. The contractor, approximately 2 weeks ago, the contractor mobilized, put up his silt fence, did some test pits to confirm utility depths. Since then, he's ordered some material, and I think he saw the materials were delivered today, so the intention is to start the construction, install the storm sewer, and proceed with the project. You're probably looking at a 60-day time frame by the time it's completed.
Thanks, Jay. That's it, Mr. Mayor. Progress.
Public Safety, Councilman Lembo.
Thank you, Mayor. Move the following reports be received and filed. Board of Health reports for the month of May 2016, and the Court Administrator's report for the month of May 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
Next item?
Need approval for a request for a coin toss at Washington and Ernston Road for the Sayreville Rec Wrestling on October 22nd.
Any objection? Next item?
Receive and file resolution received from the Township of Edison adopting the updated Middlesex County All Hazards Mitigation Plan. And also need approval, Sayreville Engine Company Number 1 accepting the application for regular membership of Nicholas Berg at their May 27th meeting.
Any objections? Next item?
Need approval for a request from Sergeant Sean O'Donnell for the use of the OEM trailer for Sayreville Police participation in the annual Tour de Force charity police ride departing from the Pentagon to Ground Zero site on September 8th, 2016.
Any objection? Anything else, Councilman?
Yes, committee report. The Public Safety Committee met with Chief Zabrowski, Sergeant Bartolinsky, and the captains regarding some traffic situations in town, specifically on Burlew Place. The recommendation of the police department is to, on a trial basis, go with the no left-hand turn out of Burlew Place in hopes of making that intersection a little safer. Speed was not found to be an issue. Sergeant Bartolinsky set up his black box, monitored the traffic, and also has radar monitoring the speed. So the speeding was not an issue, but there were since 2014 16 accidents out of Burlew making that left-hand turn.
Okay, there's probably a protocol we need to follow.
Yeah, I don't, do we need an ordinance, or can the police chief do it?
Well, I think we need to have a public hearing also.
Okay.
My question, one of the things that the chief had brought up in that meeting is possibly being able to do a temporary, I don't know if Jay knows anything about a temporary no left turn that he can just do? I don't know, traffic-wise, if you know of anything?
I wasn't involved with the meetings. I'm not sure what the recommendations were, so you may want to check with your attorney about the legality of having something temporary.
Yeah, I was just advising the mayor that you're going to need a change of ordinance to prohibit that left-hand turn. So I'd have to check the section of your ordinance that deals with
I think it's section
Burlew Place.
7.3.
Yeah, I don't
Now,
have.
Mike, on top of that, though, I'm sorry, on top of that, they did also have just slight concerns on making sure that it was the right decision. Is there any way of putting time constraints on that to expire and have to have a renewal?
You know what I'll do is I'll set up a meeting with the chief of police and just ask him to go through the ordinance with him to see if there's any other modifications that he wishes to propose.
Before, I would make a recommendation to the governing body. Usually doing ordinances like this over the summer months, because of vacations, there are gonna be people that are gonna be dissatisfied. So I would schedule the ordinance change for the middle of September, let everybody come back from the summer vacations. It's a great idea, and it's been a problem that, looking for a solution, but it should be able to draw there are far more shoppers than there are residents there, and just so everybody has their say, so that we don't go back and forth, I would recommend that you schedule the first reading for the middle of September and advise the store owners in there, so that if they want to put a sign in their store window, that this is an ordinance and it will be discussed on this date in September, so that everybody has a chance to participate.
Okay.
I'd like to just quick comment. This was an issue that was brought to me personally by a constituent, and I want to thank Councilman Lembo for working with me collaboratively on this. I think we've found a very good solution, so I appreciate your assistance.
Okay, the other thing, Councilman Limbo, is I'd like you to organize the meeting with public safety representatives and the two radio bidders, and get this resolved as much as possible before they come before the council again.
Absolutely.
Is there anything else, Councilman?
That's all, Mayor.
Okay, Public Works, Councilwoman Kilpatrick.
Okay, I move the following minutes and reports be received and filed. The Rent Leveling Board minutes of June 15, 2016, and the Public Works Supervisors reports for buildings and grounds, parks, recycling, roads, and sanitation for the month of May 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
Second.
Next item.
A request to hang promotional banners received from the from LEAD to display one promotional banner at the following location announcing their annual carnival on July 19th through the 24th, pending all paperwork, and the polls are listed.
Any objection?
No.
Next item.
And next is the request received from LEAD to use the borough's portable stage for their carnival from the 19th through the 24th.
Any objection? Anything else, Councilwoman?
Just really quickly, for those that did not read or see, Elise Barone, our recycling coordinator for the borough, has received an award, the Education Award from the New Jersey Clean Communities Council for helping educate local youth about the necessities of clean environment. And we are forever indebted to all the work that she does, the rest of her committees as well. And I just wanted to let her know, good job.
Okay.
That's all, progress.
Thank you. Water and sewer.
Ditto.
Thank you, Mayor.
Councilman Rittenhouse.
Move the following minutes or reports be filed. Water and Sewer Director's report for the month of May 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
And just an update, met with Rutgers about a week and a half ago with the Environmental Commission, and they also had representative from the Green Team there, and they also discussed it at Open Space. Rutgers will probably have a recommendation come September. They've been working, they've started working in the different areas, and they were looking for input, and it looks exciting, and I think it's gonna be a big help to all those areas where the Blue Acres properties, and I think that'll help us make the community look a lot nicer.
Okay.
And
Anything else
other than
on-
that, just thank you to St. Stan's for a successful carnival. The Sayreville Historical Society, again, had a booth there. They're nice enough to allow us to have a booth, and it's a good community activity. Other than that, progress.
Thank you. Recreation, Council President Buchanan.
Thank you, Mayor. I move that the following reports be received and filed. The Recreation Director's report for the month of May 2016.
Is there a second?
Second.
Next item?
Just a reminder that this Saturday coming up is our Independence Day celebration, which begins at 4 o'clock at Kennedy Park. Great bands, activities, food. Please come out and celebrate our independence. Just to follow up on what Councilman Lembo was saying regarding that Burlew Place, one of the other things that was discussed was Bordentown Avenue and the on and off ramps for Route 9. I remember a couple years ago we asked the state and the county to look into these intersections, to revamp them, change them around, do something over there because of the extreme danger. We have no jurisdiction since it's a county road and a state interchange. So I'm asking that this council petition the state and the county again to relook at these intersections, to address these concerns, since we're already looking at Burlew, but just do that whole entire intersection because it is very dangerous. I travel it nearly every day, and you're taking your life in your hands when you're going underneath that Route 9 bridge. So I'm asking that the attorney draft a resolution to send to the state and the county to look at those intersections.
You need a reso or a letter, Dan?
Let's do a letter.
Okay. So let the BA send a letter.
Yeah, it's Bordentown Avenue and the Route 9 interchanges.
Okay.
Just lastly, just the appointments for Sarah. Again, I know our rules have always stated that we needed to have an application. We never received one. It's my understanding that the one member that was appointed is already a member on a land use board, and it might not have been a valid appointment. I would like the attorney's opinion on that before we move forward. We don't know for sure because I didn't get the application. So if Mike can just look at the application and see if there's any violations on that before we can move any forward. Yeah.
Anything else?
I just want Mike to look at the application to see if there's any violations that we appoint her in error. I know there's rules about being on multiple land use boards and having borough representatives.
It's my understanding, and I could be wrong on this, I don't have the ordinance in front of me, but it's my understanding from past experience that you could not sit on Sarah and on any other planning or zoning board. It doesn't say in this particular application whether she sits on any planning or zoning board. I don't know that. I don't know if
She's not on the planning board.
I'm pretty certain she's on zoning.
If she's sitting on the zoning board, that probably would prohibit her.
Well, I don't know. What's that? Right, she'll resign. That's happened before.
Well, I guess the issue that again, I don't have the ordinance in front of me.
All right, so let's take a look at the ordinance.
But it is
Otherwise, it's conjecture.
But it is going to be conditioned upon her meeting the requirements for
Okay.
appointment. So if she has not resigned as of today's date of 6/27, you're probably going to have to reappoint her at the next meeting.
Let's see.
At the next meeting.
Let's see, and we'll get other legal advice.
Again, I'm only just, as you correct, Mayor, I don't have the ordinance in front of me, but if in fact she is on the zoning board at this point in time, you may have to just submit her name
Right.
before she
Let's
appoints
get
it.
more input on this. Okay, anything else, Dan?
Progress.
Okay. This past weekend, we had the 100th anniversary of Engine Company 1, and they had a wonderful parade. And in the morning, they had the statewide fire exempt meeting at our high school. It was terrific. It was terrific. It was a heck of a good parade, and they had a great time. They set up a huge circus tent behind Borough Hall, and they had a number of participating towns. Saturday night, I had invited the Lieutenant Governor to St. Stan's Carnival, and she made an opening in her busy schedule, and she was well received. And there was a young fourth grader that just took a shine to her, and he walked her to her car, and she showed him the inside of the governor's car, the Lieutenant Governor's car. And my job was to walk him back safely into the carnival, and he said it was the most exciting thing in his young life. So good for young Matthew. Anyway, special thanks to the Lieutenant Governor, as always, a very, very gracious lady and a good friend of Saraville's. That being said, Business Administrators Report, Dan Frankel.
Thank you, Mayor. Authorization to advertise for bids for the demolition of 50 Brookside Avenue and place a lien on the property.
Any objection? Next item.
We need to have a discussion from the Public Safety Committee in reference to traffic, school traffic guards. In your packet was a proposal that was sent on March 30th, 2015.
Pat, you'll have it ready for the next meeting?
Okay.
Okay. Next item.
Notice of the retirement of Detective Thomas Fisher from the Sayreville Police Department effective October 1st, 2016.
Okay.
Authorization to purchase turnout gear through New Jersey State Contract T0790/A80948 from Skylands Fire Equipment and Training, LLC of Riverdale, in an amount not to exceed $33,955.92.
Next item.
Authorization to purchase turnout gear through New Jersey State Contract T0790/A80956 from Continental Fire and Safety of Hamilton, New Jersey, in an amount not to exceed $7,242.20.
Next item.
Authorization to purchase one Chevy Tahoe through Cranford Cooperative Purchasing Program from Wall Chevrolet of Cherry Hill, New Jersey, in an amount not to exceed $37,650.
Next item.
Mayor, in the Finance Department, we received during this week a bill from VCOM, which was a bill saying for the work that they did over and above their contract. The amount was for a total of approximately $13,000. We have to have permission or from approval of the council if they would like to pay this bill.
What does the council want to do?
Not pay it.
Yeah.
I move we pay it. It was because of Harris's 4 additional things that they had to do the extra work and research it.
You know, the way it usually works is if the bid needs to be raised prior to doing the work, they will say, this is above and beyond my contract, this is what I will expect to be paid to do this extra work, instead of waiting till after they supposedly do the extra work. I'm not sure of the wording of their contract, you know, exactly what they were supposed to do, but also in light of the fact of this letter from Motorola that says, you know, that this whole 911 system that went out to bid is not going to be compliant. I really don't feel like we should pay these people any more than we already have.
They did
we
request.
didn't contract with them for that.
They did request at a meeting and said there would be an additional cost.
What I would do is my
No, he said there would be an additional cost after he did the work, not targets.
Mary, I'd recommend that the bills not be paid pending my review of the legal contract, and then let me have some discussions with the borough administrator as to this invoice, because I don't know what it covers.
All right. Next item.
Requesting a title change of Jeffrey Barlinski from Mechanics Helper to Mechanic.
Next item.
Authorization to appoint one laborer in the Department of Public Works, replacing a transfer.
Next item.
I have an update on the bus shelters that we talked about over a year and a half ago. The bus shelters they've taken out a permit from Kirk Mix Code Enforcement Group. The equipment is in. We should be seeing new bus shelters that are electrified, that are newer, that are nicer, cleaner. I would say probably by the end of the summer, Mayor.
Okay, next item.
Wait, I have a question, Dan.
Yes.
The county was supposed to do a resolution to authorize these shelters to be digital, their signages to be digital instead of static. You know, has the county done that?
To my knowledge, they have not done it yet. I believe it's on their desk, but they have not passed any resolution yet.
Okay, thank you.
Next item.
Authorization to advertise for bids for Komatsu wheel loader repairs.
Next item.
Authorization to advertise for bids for repairs to 4 Heil 5000 rear loader refuse trucks.
Next item.
Authorization to advertise for bids for electrical work and repairs.
Next item.
Authorization to purchase one Heil Durapack rear loader sanitation truck through the National Joint Powers Alliance contract from Mid-Atlantic Waste Systems of Chester, Pennsylvania, for amount not to exceed $227,866.
Next item.
Authorization to award a non-fair and open contract to Tom's Ford of Keyport, New Jersey for OEM Ford parts and service on an as-needed basis not to exceed $40,000.
Next item.
Authorization to purchase 3 pickup trucks through New Jersey State contract from Buyer Ford of Morristown, New Jersey, for an amount not to exceed $92,136.50.
Next item.
Authorization to award a non-fair and open contract to Detcon of Farmingdale, New Jersey, for the repair of an automated refuse truck for an estimated cost of $24,580.
Next item.
I need a discussion. I just want to make sure. We had a discussion previously about opening of Bamehurst Avenue. We had in your packet, I believe you had in your packet, a recommendation or a email from Chief Zabrowski. We also got quotes of what it would make for a chain link fence or a barrier gate. I don't know if the council has a preference of a chain link fence or a barrier gate. Also removing the mount.
Ask first responders about that, what they want. Usually they just want a barrier gate, don't they, Jay? Yeah, yeah, so they can push through. Next item.
I just want to make sure the conversation was twofold. One was from the police and one was from Public Works. I just want to make sure we understand. We do this, it's for safety purposes, we're opening it up. We're also opening up there's a lot of dumping that's going to be more cleaning that we're going to have to do. I just want everybody to understand it's more manpower. We do this, it's for the public safety, but it's also going to put a strain on Public Works.
Who wants this open?
Councilman Rittenhouse suggested that we open it up, and the police said it would be a second egress for Main Street.
Right now, the people who live in Sheffield Town, if the one road that leads into, if there's a problem there, and heaven forbid there be a fire or some kind of an emergency, those people will die because there's no way we can get in there.
Okay.
This was supposed to be, somehow they put up guardrails, piles of dirt, that was only supposed to be a barrier originally, not this whole thing.
Right.
So it's a very strong safety issue.
Okay. If Councilman Limbaugh, if you, Steve, are you the guy working on the cameras? Is that you?
No, on camera.
Which cameras?
See if you can talk to the police, see if you can put a camera there, so that if we have increased dumping, let's
dumping.
get them on film.
Okay.
Anything else? Number 13, I think.
We need to have a discussion on 25-mile-per-hour marking of roadways. We've done some research. We have found out that the best way, signs have been put up through a residence request on Creamer. We have also investigated the idea of putting large painted, and it's not going to be painted, it's almost reflective signs on the street for 25 miles per hour. So council knows each one of those signs cost approximately $1,750.
Street sign?
No, on the street, the reflective the large 6-foot, 25 miles per hour cost $1,750.
Do they work?
They work. They're in South Amboy. They work.
Why don't you call a couple more towns and see?
Well, here's the problem. If we
Do they have them in North Brunswick?
I don't live in North Brunswick.
That's what in North
So
Brunswick.
the chief had recommended this, Mayor.
Live in South Brunswick.
South Brunswick. Do they have them in South Brunswick?
No.
Mayor, during our public safety meeting, this was brought up by the Traffic Bureau, recommending it.
How many are we buying?
It's painting it on the ground.
The problem with painting it, Mayor, is the stencil. If we buy the stencil for 25 miles per hour, the stencil's going to cost us $500. Every year, we'd have to come back and paint.
We can't get Joe Scanlon to come in and do this?
We use Public Works. We use our Public Works department to do it.
See what Scanlon wants
But
to
here's
do.
the more important thing.
We
If you do,
can't just give it to
Mary,
one person, that would be against.
Ask
You
him how
can't
much.
do that. You have to open it up to 3 people, at least.
Just run it by Scanlon, see how much he wants. It'll give you a
That's
benchmark.
illegal.
It'll give you a benchmark, Mary.
Our Public Works Department can do the work. The problem is the stencil, if we do it for one street, I guarantee we're gonna have many homeowners are gonna ask for many streets to be done. And then we're
I
gonna.
want it on Glen Court.
And then we're gonna have to come back year after year to repaint it.
Well, we
and it's
better
a-
get it cheaper. So see what Scanlon says, and we'll go from there. We'll get a benchmark. If our cost is $1,700, let's see
No,
what
our
somebody else.
cost is for reflective, it's a reflective tape
I
that stays on there for
understand.
permanently. It doesn't move.
Okay. Next item?
Authorizing the borough engineer to prepare plans and specifications for the boiler replacement at the police complex and authorizing the borough clerk to advertise for the receipt of the bids.
Any objection? Anything else?
That's it, Mayor.
Okay. CFO's report?
Just one question for Dan. Dan, do we have an update on that record ordinance? Mike, you were looking into that?
Yes, I've got the revisions down, I just got to give it to Dan. Matter of fact, I have a draft to
Okay.
give it to Dan, so I'll have it at the next meeting. Yep.
Wayne?
Thank you.
First item is an introduction of a bond ordinance for Borough Hall generator. The engineer has it on his report. He received bids last week, and this has been in discussion and looked at and plans and specifications done since Sandy, so we knew when the Borough Hall went down with the Sandy thing. So this will be a backup generator for Borough Hall in the case of power outages. The next item is resolutions to amend the 2016 budget for grants, and I listed the grants there. They'll be, each have a resolution on next meeting.
Okay. Anything else, Wayne?
No, that's all.
Okay, Borough Engineers report?
Thank you, Mayor. First item, Winding Woods Pump Station. We did receive bids for the project, approximately $857,000. As long as your bond ordinance is approved at the next meeting, we'd like a resolution awarding the contract. Item 2 and 3, you already took action on, so nothing further is needed. Item 4, Borough Hall generator. We received bids, approximately $272,000. As Wayne indicated, we would need to have an ordinance. Once that's adopted, we can award the contract. Item 5, Major Drive waterfront improvements. That project's been completed. We're recommending it be closed out. There's a change order that's going to increase the project approximately $2,700. There was additional fencing repairs that the Public Works Director requested, so that's the reason for the increase. If no objection, we'll have the resolutions. Item 6, the 2014 road paving project Phase 2. It's nearing completion. There's a change order to adjust some bid quantities. There's no overall change in the contract price. We need a resolution to do that. We received bids for Kennedy Park Skate Park, low bid approximately $51,000. We're checking the references of the low bidder since he's not from New Jersey, he's out of state. If everything's in order, we'd like to go through and have a resolution awarding the contract at the next meeting. And then finally, a couple weeks ago, we talked to the council about some issues with the Paxton Road tank, where there was a need to have emergency repair work done. That's nearing completion. All the welding, all the grouting's been completed. They did the painting today. They're gonna go through and start filling the tank on Wednesday.
Okay, thank you, Jay.
That was it, Mayor. Thank you.
Borough Attorney's report?
No report, Mayor.
Okay, at this time, I'm gonna open the public portion. Are there any questions or comments on the public portion? Mike?
Mike Diadio, 13 Zaleski Drive, and I'm the chairman of the redevelopment agency. Mayor, a few years ago, when Judy Verone was sitting there, I was on the zoning board and Sarah, and she found in state law and your ordinance that forbid me to be on two boards if there were already two borough officers on Sarah. I already have two borough officers on Sarah, Rennie Trevisato and Don Newton. We actually went to court where the judge ordered me to give up one board. So you're well aware that this law exists. Rosetta's appointment tonight, and I have nothing against Rosetta, was not legal. You cannot have three officers on Sarah. As of today, does any council member have her resignation letter as of June 27th?
Jessica, was that received?
No, it was not.
Just the application was?
Yes.
Thank you.
So she's technically still on the zoning board? Then her appointment is not legal. She can resign after tonight, and you could do it over
Well, did
at
you,
the next meeting.
how did that work with you, Mike?
I had to resign. The judge ordered.
So
me
you
to
had to
Before-
resign, but you still, you had your
But we
choice
went to
of which
court.
one you were
We went
resigning.
to court. I refused to resign. and we
maybe
went
she'll go to court,
And
too.
the judge interpreted the law for us, so you know
Okay.
exactly what the
Well,
law
maybe
is.
Rosetta's up to a little litigation.
That's fine. She can litigate it, but her appointment
Yeah,
tonight is illegal.
yeah.
And as of tonight, you do not have a resignation letter, so she is technically not a member
Mike,
of
you're
Senate.
not an
Okay,
attorney.
so that's null and void.
Remember, you're taking the advice of a guy who's not an attorney. No,
I'm
you're
telling you
whoever
what the
you called
judge
out in the
ordered.
hall
You
who
took me
told
to
you.
court. I didn't take you to court. You took me
I
to
didn't
court.
take anybody
You
to
know
court.
what the judge ordered. Yes, you did. You took me to court. Paula Sarkowitz was a councilwoman at the time. You took me to court. I didn't want to resign, but the judge ordered me to resign. So you know exactly
But
what the
you
law
kept-
is.
You kept your position.
No, I didn't. I had to
Oh.
resign the zoning board.
Well, there you go. Okay. Are there anything else? Any other questions or comments? Being no other
Mayor,
questions or
can I
comments?
ask the attorney a question? That if you must resign from a board before you're appointed to another one, then any appointment that's made would be null and void, correct? Because if they didn't resign from one
careful.
first, then they could not be
I
appointed
will
to another,
bring you
correct?
for it.
Again, as the mayor had just indicated to me in issuing to be careful, based on what, I don't have the statute in front of me, but if in fact the statute indicates that you cannot serve on two boards, as I had suggested earlier, that it's probably going to require Ms. Stone, Rosetta Stone. Is it Rosetta?
Fisher.
Fisher, I'm sorry. Maybe she speaks Italian or Polish. But as I had indicated earlier, that if in fact it is accurate that you cannot serve on two boards, and I wasn't familiar with the case, and I don't have the ordinance in front of me, that the mayor may require to reappoint her once the resignation is received. I don't know that, and that's why I was talking to the mayor during that discussion, that it may require that the appointment is not required. but-
I'm sorry, I guess I didn't hear everything
Mr.
you
Dupont,
said
may I
before. I'm
ask a
sorry. Thank
question
you.
on this? This appointment doesn't take effect tonight. This appointment takes effect when Sierra's reorganization is in July. Why would a person want to resign from something in case they were not appointed?
I'm not-
This appointment does not take
No,
effect.
but you cannot.
No, that's.
I'm
In other
talking, Mary.
areas, I know you must resign first from one thing before you can be appointed to the other.
Thank you, Attorney
I'm not sure
Novak.
exactly
I'm
what you're
glad.
talking
Where
about.
did you get your law degree?
Again, the appointment is effective immediately. It's not effective till July. Now, that
No,
being.
it has
Is she
to be
gonna take her seat?
memorialized.
Is she
It
gonna?
has to be, I've had people appointed and they failed to get memorialized, so.
Again, that's why we were just talking about the need for the resignation and maybe the subsequent requirement that the mayor, I don't have the case law, I don't have the ordinance.
We'll be busy getting clarification on this. Okay, are there any other questions? Ted?
Mr. Dupont, if there are cases before the township, a board, and it's a complaint or a disagreement with, let's say, the planning board, the zoning board, or any other type of board, and there has already been New Jersey appellate court rulings on the exact same matters, is the township required to follow the appellate court of the state of New Jersey and their rulings on these exact same matters?
Again, not knowing the specific facts of what you're referring to, it's clear, and it's happened all the time, that's why they have appellate courts, that zoning board and planning boards don't always maybe heed case law, or they believe that it doesn't apply, so that's why they have appellate courts.
But
So it's not like, hey, look, this is what I say, and this is black and white. That's why
Right,
they
but let's
have
just say the
appellate courts.
exact same circumstance, like.
Again,
they
there's
spoke
never,
of.
there's never exact same facts. And so
But-
that's why they have appellate
But in
courts.
general, if the appellate courts of the state have already ruled on the matter, they're going to rule the exact same way the second time.
Well, again, that's why you have appellate courts, and that's why you have the appeal process, because people sometimes think that the facts are a little bit different.
Okay, thank you.
Are there any other questions or comments? Being no other questions or comments, I'll entertain a motion to close the public portion.
So moved.
All in favor? Aye. Opposed? Take a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you, everyone.
Jessica, you did a nice job. Good letter, Ken.
Yeah.
Oh, that was
You
fun.
hang it up.